All right, everybody, what's going on out there in the chat? Look at all the people we got out there. We got Spiritual God Warrior. Salute to you. We got Seashell SoCal. Pat, good to see you. James Graben. Oh, yeah, what? We got some other people out there. Big shout out to you guys. Now, the other day, I was just, perusing Twitter and X as I tend to do, getting all crazy with it. And my boy John, he said something very provocative, and I had a little conversation about corruption versus creation. And so that's basically what we're going to talk about today, because I feel like those two concepts are diametrically opposed. Now, whether they are or not, maybe we'll get to the bottom of it. We're going to try to do that. We're going to try to talk about it and use our observations in society to see how that works and how that happens. So I'm going to go ahead and pull John in here. What's up, John? Good to see you. Welcome.
What's up, buddy? It's good to be here. For everyone out there, I am John Teeter, the Third Rail Podcast. I also DJ, do some video stuff, pictures, all that kind of stuff, Photoshop art, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it was great to hear that you wanted to do this, because that is a topic that's like really interesting to me.
Yeah, I find it fascinating, and I know that you're a very creative person, and you make music, videos. I've seen a lot of your stuff. I heard your music, and I was excited. I was like, oh, let's talk to John and see what he has to say about this. Now, in the back, we were chatting for just a minute right before the show started, and we were talking about a lot of interesting things. And one of the things that we were talking about was this concept, right? Everybody has this concept. Everybody thinks, oh, I'll go in there a little bit, and maybe I'll sell out just a little bit, but I won't sell it all the way. Now, you said some very interesting things about that, John. If you could refresh and just tell the audience, what were you talking about?
Well, so basically, everyone's idea as an artist would be to make it to where you can do your art, whatever it is, music, painting, photography, whatever the case may be, as a career. So that means you'd have to get paid for it, right? Just like a lot of these podcasters you see online, they're all trying to become monetized so that they can cut back on a regular quote-unquote job and make that their job. But the question is it possible to do that and maintain your integrity as an artist? And that's what we were talking about. And I think if you start compromising, it's kind of, you start going down a rabbit hole where you're not really being true to yourself and your art, and you kind of get pigeonholed into a corner that isn't really you. So it's like just a stressful situation, I would think. Like, stress is anytime you go against your nature, right? Like
Yeah.
Anytime you go against what your thing is, that causes stress. So if you're doing something just because it's making money, but it's not really you, that's kind of an issue.
That's a great concept. Now, I want to ask you, what would you consider like a sellout? Like, what is something where you would sell part of yourself out? Can you define that for me?
Well, it's hard to say to an extent. Like, I mean, let's say you got an audience built, right? So where you're like just getting monetized. If you do an ad read for a product you don't really give a shit about, is that really selling out? Not if they're not making you say anything other than, hey, buy this product, right?
Right.
But let's say some producer comes in and says, hey, I think we can make your show bigger. But instead of talking about art and pushing people to do art, maybe you push them to do...
Become a stripper.
Strip. That, yeah.
Learn how to be a stripper.
Start dancing on pole. That's art, right? Dancing on pole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so if you did that would be selling out, right? For sure.
Yeah.
So I think there's different levels of it.
Yeah, I think that that's a very good way to put it. Now, I think that like selling out was when you yield your control and exchange or exchange your voice for somebody else's voice. Like they kind of puppet you. They puppet through you a little bit. I think that's kind of like selling out because, in fact, I think even if you're a creator or an artist or whatever, isn't it a little bit? Now, hear me out. I don't know. This could be crazy, but if you want to make a career out of it, and isn't that the wrong way to look at it?
I don't know if it's necessarily the wrong way, right? Like, I mean, I do my stuff as a hobby, right? If I get paid for a gig, great. I love it. But if I just went out and played for 15 people at a club, I enjoyed it anyway. I don't really personally care. It's something that I would have liked to do anyway. I think it changes when you kind of start making money, and then you kind of have to, right? Like, normally do dubstep and drum and bass, and heavy bass music is like what I prefer. I like other genres too, but let's say I only started getting gigs that were paying doing like house music. That would kind of in a way be selling out. I don't mind mixing house music once in a while, but if I only started doing that, then I would be like, yeah, I kind of sold out, didn't I?
Okay, so it's not. So it's really kind of doing something that you're not necessarily passionate about. It's like kind of subverting your passion, basically. Like for example, if somebody came to me and they said something like, "Hey, could you just go ahead and paint, Christmas windows and make that your career?" I wouldn't like that. You know how they paint the windows on like big
Yep.
stores, like a Christmas scene. But we'll give you like $100,000 every December if you just do that. I mean that's tempting, right? That's kind of like, oh well, if I kind of yield my talents for this month, I can live on that for the rest of the year. But
Yeah.
that's kind of like selling out in a way, isn't it?
I think if you do something you're passionate about and then make it not about the means in which you're passionate about it in order to make money, then I think that is where you can be manipulated in your art, right? Like, I have a day job. I'm sure you have a day job as well. I don't give a fuck about my day job. My day job is my day job. I'm not compromising myself. I'm just exchanging time for money.
Right.
When I'm doing my art stuff, I don't want to do what other people tell me to do.
Yeah.
I want to do what I enjoy and what I like. And if I
Yeah.
make it on my own character, great. And if not, not everyone makes it. But
Yeah.
at least I'm doing the thing I like.
Now, what do you think? What would you term that creativity? What do you think creativity is?
I mean, creativity is anything that it's literally creation of any kind, really. Like if you build a table, that you created something. And I mean, unless you built it from a blueprint that was, got online or something, then you're creating something from thin air. It's like, not to get too like woo woo crazy stuff, but
No, it's
like
okay. We can go woo woo.
it's kind of like our connection to the creator, right?
That's
That's
exactly what I was
creating.
going to say. It is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it necessarily just creativity isn't just what we would think of as art, like painting or, you know, anything. Cooking. You cook every fucking Sunday. You post a video of some new awesome thing you cooked. That's creation,
Yeah.
and that's like an art. Like cooking is definitely an art.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I really like what you said, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think creativity is like connection to source. Whatever you want to define that as, that's what it is. And maybe corruption is the service of rendering that connection to someone else for money. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that it's it's a fine line, right? Because if you're just being true to yourself, like if you're doing your stickers, right? And all of a sudden everyone's like, I need that fucking Alex Stein sticker because I want to say big booty Latinas.
Yeah,
And I need that Mersh Cat sticker, right? And people start buying it. You're not selling off your connection to source. You're using your connection to make money.
right.
But it's not corrupted, I wouldn't say, in that at that point. Right?
No, I agree. Do you think that some people can be corrupted to the point where they lose their connection to source, so they
Oh
can't be
yeah.
they can't be creative? What do you think that looks like? Why do you think that is?
Well, how many bands have you seen that it's like, man, their first two, three, even four albums sometimes were amazing, and then all of a sudden they just like changed, or they stopped sounding like, it just kind of became formulaic. That's it right there, right? Like,
Yeah, they lost that special like umph, that magic or whatever that was, that like bit. You know what I mean?
yeah, like what I was into grunge a lot when I was young, right? Alice in Chains, the singer died off. He was my favorite before they uh, they went kind of big. But look at Pearl Jam. Their first two albums were amazing, raw, emotional, just really great music. And then after their third album, it's just like a formula.
Yeah.
It's all the same shit, and it doesn't even sound raw or good. It's just like they're just getting a paycheck. I
Yeah.
think a lot of bands do that.
Well, and you also see it like in acting. You see it in a lot of things. You see some movies that have the tremendous performance, and you're like, wow. And then you watch that actor in something else, maybe 5 or 6 years later, and it's gone.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Like you can look at someone like, well, actually, Tom Hanks was pretty damn good. Like De Niro. De Niro when he first started, Taxi Driver, right?
Yeah.
That movie is. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. That's such a great movie. Then he was in The Godfather 2. Uh, he was in a bunch of mob movies, and then all of a sudden, it's just like every time they need an Italian tough guy, he's the guy, right?
Yeah,
With
and
that
he
big,
does the same character. Yeah, he has the same character over and over. Um, I don't know. Did you ever see any of the interviews with Terrence Howard recently, within the last
oh
year or
yeah,
two? And he talks about like how they try to take something from you
oh yeah.
to validate you, and I think that has a big impact on your ability to be creative. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know how many of I haven't seen all of his interviews, but I've seen a couple of them because, he kind of went a little quote unquote off the deep end, even though a lot of people are saying what he's been saying has not quite the validity he thinks it does, but some validity, right? But he came out and said, basically confirmed what Cat Williams had said, where there's these parties, you go to the party, they take that thing from you,
Yeah.
and and then you get to the next level of fame and stardom and money. So I think definitely, I mean, there's a lot of compromising in that world for sure,
Now
for sure.
there's something to that though, right? Because there are tons of people who are gay who are creative, right? There's tons of them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Tons of creativity comes from the gay community. But something special about yielding something against your will that you don't really want to, and that severs your connection with creativity. And then from then forward, it's kind of like you're like a shell of yourself. Now, do you think it's possible to come back from that?
Without knowing who's done what in that sense, I I don't think there's a way to genuinely know that. I like when we were saying before, I'm not the type that would want to sell sell out, right? Like I would rather keep my integrity, my art's mine. If I don't ever make a dime off of anything I do with in that sense, that's fine. I work. I don't. It's not that big a deal. Would be nice, but I don't know. I couldn't put myself in the situation of that. But also, I've never been offered 20 million,
Yeah.
$100 million. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
They say everyone has their price, right?
Yeah.
That's why I'll never say. The saying. What it, the they say. The guy talks to a woman. Oh, would you sleep with a guy for $1 million? Yeah. Okay. Well, how about 1,000? No.
Right.
What do I look like? A hooker? Well,
Yeah.
we already know that. We're just negotiating now, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So that's
Uh,
why I won't ever say that I would take money for it. But I mean, no one really knows, right? Like, they wave a fat wad of cash in front of you.
yeah.
It might be enough.
Yeah. And you know, I don't think it just has to do with money. Money is just like a representation of like so many things, like your time, your efforts, your lifestyle. But I have this analogy, and one of these analogies that I have is, say for example, you're a man and you grow up and you're hungry, right? And you want the best food, and so you make a deal with the devil and to get the best food in the world. He says, I'll give you all the best food that you want. You only have to give me one thing. And you say, okay, I'll give it to you. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you. And what the devil does is he cuts your tongue out so you can't taste it. So then you will get all the best food for the rest of your life, but you can't ever taste it. That's kind of what this deal is all about. And I think that a lot of people who make these deals don't understand that that's the complete deal. Is that whatever it was that allowed you to enjoy the channeling of your talent or your gift or whatever, it's ripped out of you once you make that deal. Sure, you might have the $20 million or all the food in the world, but you can't enjoy it. And then what happens is you become consumed with envy and anger and rage at everybody else who idealizes that food, to the point where you devalue and disrespect the food by, like, you know, you take the best Wagyu steak and you put it in a blender and you drink it in front of people and throw it on the ground, and the people are like heartbroken. And we really see that devaluation out like in Hollywood and the music and in everything. They try to devalue everything.
Well, I mean, does it even have to be necessarily a metaphoric thing? Like, if I all of a sudden, right? Let's say I'm getting paid now millions of dollars to go DJ around the world, but I'm forced to DJ that music that I fucking hate.
Yeah.
Am I? Did I not lose my connection to it? Not directly that I can't create it, but the joy of the thing that I loved doing now is gone because I'm forced to do this other form of it that I just don't like, right?
Right.
It could just be a literal thing instead of just a metaphorical, like your connection to the source is gone. It might still be there, but you're just not getting joy from it, and it kind of brings you suffering in a way, right? Like, wouldn't that be like the ultimate punishment?
Yes, it's enslavement, right? And how many people do we like? Look at Madonna. She's still up doing her thing, as like, I don't know how old she is, in her 70s or 80s. I always wonder, why aren't these people retired at home? You know, wouldn't you want to be like in your mansion kicking it by the pool instead of being forced to still be famous?
Well, do you? Bob
Are you
Dylan
gonna?
did like a
I was gonna
60-minute
say Bob
interview,
Dylan. Yes, that's the
and
exact
he
one
says, "I
with Mike.
have to,
Yeah.
I
Who
have
was
to
it?
continue."
Yeah. Who was it with? Maury Seaford or not? Yeah, I think that's the black guy. Yeah.
I think it was a black guy, like an older.
60
Yeah,
minutes. Yeah. Yeah. You tell the story.
yeah. So he basically comes on, and he's like, the guy asks him like, "So are you thinking about hanging it up?" And he's like, "No, I can't do that. I got to keep going." And he's like, "Why is that?" And he's like, "Well, I made a deal, and I got to keep going." And he's like, "A deal with who?" And he's like, "Oh, you know, a deal with the ruler of this world and the next." Like, he's not talking about God, because biblically the Bible says Satan rules this world, right? The earthly realm, and if he sold his soul, which obviously he's alluding to, then that's going to be his ruler in the next too. So yeah, I think they just can't. They have to basically keep going until either they get sacrificed for the next person, or a lot of people in Hollywood die in really odd ways. I don't want to go too far, but we we saw it with Whitney Houston. Uh, it happens a lot. Michael Jackson,
Oh, the
a lot of people
27,
go
the
out.
27 Club.
Oh yeah, Hendrix and Joplin and Cobain and Morrison and
Yeah, when
yeah,
they hit
yeah.
27. Yeah, you're right. There's a tremendous amount of people. And, bro, I love that interview. I remember watching it. I was like, wow, riveted to it. And I'll try to remember to put the link down in the description. But it was a fascinating interview. And you start to get a little insight behind what's really kind of pushing forward the entertainment. And you start to ask yourself, the reason why I asked the question is about, can you lose your connection to source, was because if you have lost your connection to source and you're a very wealthy person, you can just rent these other people and borrow their connection to source until you ruin it. And maybe the whole point of it is to diminish the other people's, their ability to shine like a candle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's entirely possible. That Bob Dylan video. It's when I first started going down the conspiracy rabbit hole. That video just kept popping up all the time, and it's like, man, I'm I had heard about the backmasking in music. I'm sure you've heard of that too, right?
Yep.
Like you go online, if you search Led Zeppelin "Stairway to Heaven" backmask, you'll find. I, I'm not saying if it was done on purpose or if it was, it could be if you're into the spiritual realm, it could be demonically inspired because a lot of these people say they just pull from the ether, right? It came to them from, they say divine inspiration, but if divine inspiration is telling me to sing Stairway like they did, and then when you flip it backwards, he's saying my sweet Satan, like, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, and it also brings up another question. It's like maybe you've wondered this. I've wondered this many times. How come Christian music isn't as good as secular music?
You know, I think music is something, I mean, art in general, right? It's something that has to draw you in emotionally, right? Like, if you just hear a song and it's just uh, different music moves different people. Alice in Chains is one of my favorites. Like, even if you don't like Alice in Chains, you cannot say that it's not like emotionally grabbing, right?
Right.
But typically, topics that are emotionally grabbing are topics of like hardship and like reaching rock bottom, right? Like a lot of Christian music doesn't really, they don't curse. They try to stay talking about God and the Bible. Not, I don't know if all of it, because I don't listen to Christian music. I'm sure you probably don't
No,
typically
I
either.
don't. No, back in the long, long days back in the day, I listened to Christian music, but I don't listen to it anymore now.
Yeah, it's just, I don't think it's emotionally connecting to people. I don't think it's something most people can even relate to a lot of times, right? So, when you hear a guy sing about like he hit rock bottom, he did heroin, and then he's passed out in a gutter, everyone, whether you've done heroin or not, you've heard a story of someone or personally know someone that's been there, and you can kind of like imagine what it takes to get to that position, right? So it moves you emotionally. Now, is it good? It sounds
Well,
awesome,
yeah.
but it kind of gets you in that place. It's a little kind of a double-edged sword, right?
What do you mean when you say it gets you in that place? What do you?
Well, like the things you think, right? Like your mind can't tell the difference between what you're thinking internally and what you experience in reality. I'm not. I listen to Alice in Chains all the time. Don't get me wrong, but if you're listening to their song where he's talking about being an addict and you're singing along to the words,
Yeah.
are you not mentally kind of conditioning yourself to like, I'm an addict, right? Like,
Yeah, you bring up a great point, and a lot of media is social programming. A lot of music, a lot of movies, a lot of books, a lot of media imagery is social programming, and that begs the question, and at least gives a motive as to why somebody would want to acquire an artist with a connection to source, because however long that connection is there, that they can be creative, they're extremely effective in the art that they create. And I've watched this happen quite a bit, especially on YouTube. This concept of being trapped by the algorithm. And I've watched a lot of
oh yeah,
artists start out on YouTube, right? And there's this one guy in particular, I forget his name, but they start out trying to be an artist, and then they figure out a little gimmick on YouTube about drawing art on a phone and giving it away. Now all of a sudden they're getting really big views when they draw things on little doodles and give away a house, give away a Tesla, give away iPads, but all they're doing is doodling and giving away, and that becomes their entire life instead of what they originally set out to do by being an artist and creating imagery and telling stories. They become captured by the algorithm.
yeah. It's called audience capture. A lot of YouTubers talk about it, or a lot of YouTubers will like throw it out as an insult to people that they're beefing with, right? To like, oh, he's just audience captured. But yeah, basically, like if you build an audience on one thing, and then you get tired of doing that thing, or you know, one random video you did just blows up out of nowhere, and then you decide, oh, I'm only gonna do that kind of video now. It, yeah, that's audience capture for sure, and
Yeah.
that's not great. That kind of takes away. It kind of takes away what you're inspired to do because you were inspired to do it that one time. Maybe you would have been inspired to do it again here and there, but now you're kind of feeling like you're stuck in that hole of I got to do that because that's what's getting me the views.
Yeah, and when you come back, right, and talk about what we were talking about previously, where I was asking about, like, you know, if a guy in a dark suit came and offered you some money to do this, would you do it or not? Well, now it's not really a guy in a dark suit anymore. It's an algorithm. It's an audience. You don't ever really see them, and so it's far more invasive than just some guy in a dark suit. Because I haven't met, well, I think maybe I met the guy in the dark suit 2 or 3 times in my life, but you know, I deal with the algorithm. I deal with an audience every day in my own house.
Yeah. Yeah, definite. The thing you were saying, the guy in the dark suit, right? Like now he's just a random guy on the internet, but he could actually just be that actual same dark suit guy that would approach you if you were in the regular media, right? Like if you're an actor and the Hollywood execs are coming to you, well, now they can just pay YouTubers money, like when they do something that promotes an agenda that they want to push, right? So
Yeah,
like you get one of these girls that's like half naked on a stream, and then guys like start sending her money. That could be literally just an exec who has an agenda they want pushed out, sending that money to get her to keep doing that,
yeah.
right?
No, I completely agree, and I even agree with you because we see that, you know, YouTube has gotten extremely single one note. You know, one note. It really feels like, you know, when I was watching YouTube a couple years ago, there was a lot of different variability in it, and then they had that whole big contraction where they pressed and they kicked everybody out, and it seems like now they're starting to open it up back again, and hopefully they do. But you know, from a creative point of view, when you enter like that, you know, the zone, the creation zone, what does that feel like to you? Like when you're making a really good track, or you're in the middle of mixing, or what does that feel like?
Well, I'm a nicotine addict. So when I realize that I'm sitting in front of my computer and I have no urge to get up from my chair at all to go smoke a cigarette or even go use the restroom, like there's times where I'll just be like at my computer, I'm going over settings on it, like the most minute thing that you would 99% of people would never notice the change I'm making, but I'm just there in the zone doing all these changes, just getting actual progress done. That's when I'm like, okay, I'm in a zone right now, and I need to stay here as long as I can, because the minute I get up from my chair, ADHD kicks in, and then I'm out of that zone, and to get back into it is not going to happen that day.
Wow, that's incredible. So you basically, it's a transcendent experience that not only delivers you from like the nicotine urges, but of course the bladder too, and anything else, and you lose time, don't you?
Oh yeah, yeah, it could be hours. I'll just be sitting in front of that screen, and yeah, no, definite. I have all kinds of gear here and stuff. I live in a very small place, but like my place is literally just my bed and gear.
Yeah,
So like,
very functional.
yeah, yeah, definite. I have like on my walls, there's a blue tarp that's my green screen. So like literally my walls are just like it's fucking just all production.
Yeah, bro, you live at the laboratory basically, is what you're saying, the sound
Yeah.
lab. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I keep everything set up how it needs to be so that when I'm ready to go, I just turn on my camera or turn on my keyboard and I'm good to go. I'm ready.
Yeah, that's
And I'm
fantastic.
in that state.
And indirectly, you brought up my next point, which is, you know, how important it is to minimize the amount of resistance that you experience when you're trying to get into the zone. Like you just said, after you've been in the zone for like, you know, 3 or 4 hours or a day or whatever, and you come out, it's hard to get back in. It's because you're exhausted.
Yeah.
And, you know, all of that, whatever it was that when you were in the zone and you were creating, and you know, you were ignoring all of the things your body was screaming at you because you couldn't feel it because your mind was through a portal somewhere else. Now your mind comes back into your body and you feel everything. You're just exhausted. You got to sleep it off for a day or two.
Yeah, well, it's not even about sleeping because sometimes you, well, I mean, I don't know. My sleep schedule's all destroyed. I'll do like 2 days awake sometimes and then sleep 12 hours. That's just how my life is. But I, for me, it's not even necessarily about sleeping. It's just like once I snap myself out of this zone, it's like I need to get whatever else out of my system I had to get out of before I can sit back down and get back into that zone. Like the other night, I had my first gig in like 13 years, and I
Fire.
did 2 fucking hours set, and I hadn't. That was the longest set I had ever done. Before that, I had only done up to like an hour or so. I was just in that zone. It took me a while to get there, and I forgot to record my set because I was just like trying to. I was a little bit nervous, and then I kind of like had to. I downed a double Jameson, and I was like, all right, it's go time. Forgot to record the set, but I did 2 hours, and it was like, man, that went by like nothing. I was shocked. I didn't think I would be able to do that long.
Well, like I'm sure it's very exciting where you're at too, and the parties are probably always going, and you get in the zone, and you're just like, yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, definitely, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. I like DJing because I don't have a lot of the manual dexterity. I've always played instruments, but never great. Like I was okay at the sax back in like middle school. Uh, I mess around on the keyboard. I'll fool around on the bass every once in a while. But mainly, it's like I have a lot of musical ideas, but I don't have a lot of the manual dexterity to actually like play something badass. On a computer or DJing, you're blending other people's stuff, you're layering a couple of beats that you put down onto other people's stuff, mixing other things in. So it's like you're creating out of other creations in a lot of ways, and it's pretty cool. And then also just making music in the computer. Like I have a keyboard that I play with, but okay, I fucked that piece up. All right, I'll just move the note over. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But yeah, you get in that zone, and you don't. If you get out of it, it's gonna be hard. I keep everything. Basically, the only thing I have to do to set myself up, I have a light right here. I have another light behind me. I plug in the one behind me, and this one. Usually, I have it just pointed up. I just bring it down and flip on the camera, and then I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that's the thing I would really want to stress to people, especially if you're trying to become more creative or whatever it is. When you're not being creative, reduce the amount of overhead that it requires for you to get going in whatever you're doing. Because I definitely, I got my setup kind of like you do. I have the camera set up. I just have to turn it on and I have to go. On my daily thing, I try to minimize the amount of editing that I have to do. So, I've got a camera switcher. I just do that and let it edit itself so that I can keep doing it and keep going to the next thing. Otherwise, it becomes so overwhelming that you're like, bruh, I
Yeah.
got too many things to do. I don't have time to get in the zone and be creative and mix this song up or do this piece of art or do this cartoon or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny. I used to edit videos for a buddy, and I'm good at editing, but when I'm doing my own videos, like I don't want to edit anything. I do the same thing that you do. I have scenes set up. I go live. Just record in OBS, and I just change. I pop up my browser if I need to look at a browser or a video that I'm bringing up, but it's all set up. It's all ready to go, and I don't have to edit anything because the minute I add that extra edit step, that's it. It's like
Yeah.
it's
You're
gonna
like,
take forever now.
yeah, you don't want to do it. And to be perfectly honest, like, the meat and the potatoes of any good video is like the energy that you can channel through yourself into the lens, and like that's so important. And I'm sure you can hide it with like cool edits and all that kind of stuff, and you can kind of get away with it for a little bit, but you can't sustain that, and you'll definitely burn out quickly if you're running in that capacity. But you have to, like you said, you get into that zone and you can't feel nothing. And that's where you want to be. You want to go through that transcendent portal.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it also helps. I've always been pretty good with public speaking and stuff. I'm sure you have too, as an artist who was in galleries and stuff. You're having to talk to people. You have a natural charisma with you, right? When you see a lot of these people on YouTube, right, that do like more shorter form videos edited. You'll see them. They do a lot of jump cuts where it's like they fucked up on a word, but instead of re-recording the whole thing, they just like chop it every time.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It looks fake. It feels fake. You don't really feel like they have any kind of personality. I I just riff and go on it, and if I go too long, I go too long. Who cares?
No,
You know?
I completely agree with you, and I think like the most important thing, and the thing that's really going to become valuable, especially in these videos and YouTube and stuff like that, is the authenticity of the people and their interaction. And I think that's what people are really going to crave, and you can't like, make that with AI, and you can't edit like you said, like if you're Frankenstein edit something together, it just doesn't come together.
Yeah.
People are social; they want a community. They want, I want to watch people I like. I want to vibe with people.
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly, authenticity is going to be the biggest currency socially for people who are creators, because right now you can make a song on AI that sounds almost, it's not quite there, but it's so close to being human level good. Same thing, there's AI video. It's not quite there, but it's almost to the point where they're going to be able to generate AI podcasts entirely, and it's not going to sound like AI, but character and personality, that's going to be the currency of the internet, I think, and artists.
Yeah, and taking it back to what we started talking about, I completely agree with you. Taking it back to what we were talking about earlier about the connection to source. Doesn't it kind of feel like that this whole AI thing is just an effort to try to cut people out of that, to try to generate a fake kind of source and steal the audience from people who really want to connect to source? Or what do you think about that?
I think to an extent, yes, and to an extent, the opposite, actually. So I
Okay.
use AI. My background's AI, obviously. Uh, I u- I've never been able to draw. It's like the one art that I wish I had the talent for, but never did. I do photography. I do graphic design. Like I can take photos, mash them up, you know, vectorize things. I can do all kinds of stuff digitally, but I can't draw. So like, if I need, let's say, I want to do a logo, and I have a great idea, picture in my head of what that logo should look like my DJ logo. I don't know if I've shown it to you, but it's like a buzz saw, and then in the
Hmm.
middle of the buzz saw, there's like another layer that's like a synth wave looking city, and then there's like a layer of like bats, and then there's like the AI generated image of me. It's like several layers of different AI images that I had AI create and then mashed them up together to make a whole logo. I could have never done that by hand. So in some ways, it opens art to more people, but most people won't go to that level of detail with it. They'll just say, "Hey, generate me this logo," and just take what comes out, right?
Well, I completely agree with you that it does open up, lowers the boundary of entry for a lot of people because they can't draw, and I completely agree with you. Now, what do you think about the fact that AI basically scrubs all of the art from people who make it and put it into a database and then mix it up, and that's how it makes its art? For example, the Studio Ghibli. Remember when everybody was making those Studio Ghibli memes? And they were taking
Yeah.
their pictures and put it in the Studio Ghibli format. Like, what does that do to Studio Ghibli? I mean, does that devalue them? Does it? What do you think?
Um, it's hard to say. I mean, I heard a very good argument from a person that I'm not going to say their name because I just don't like them as a person,
Sure.
a creator, but um, they once said, let's say you're an artist, right? How do you learn how to do art? You look at other books, you look at other artists, you take inspiration, and then you take that and you make it your own, right? AI kind of does that. Now, when you tell it just straight up rip off Studio Ghibli, that's kind of fucked up. But that doesn't necessarily, I think, devalue them, it kind of makes it gives them more attention, if anything, I would say.
Okay, I have a question because that brings up a really good point. What do you think, or how would you define art? Is art a product, or what is art?
Art, I mean, it can be a product, right? Like if I paint something and someone buys it, that's technically a product. I would say art is a vision more than anything, and it's a means, like it's how you bring that vision to light, right? I don't. I know a lot of people hate on AI art and AI stuff, and I do understand it, and I do kind of hate on it in a little bit too, right? But if if you have a vision and you bend AI to your will to make that vision a reality, is that not still kind of valid in a way? I don't know. It's a tough question. It's something that I struggle with because I do use AI art a lot.
All right,
Not music, because I produce music, right?
sure, sure.
But let's say one day I need a drum beat, right? And I just don't have the time to make a drum beat, and I'm like, hey, give me just like a standard house beat, boom, 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 and AI creates it for me. Is that like horrible? It's
Okay,
not the best, but it's
well,
not the worst
let,
either.
let me redefine then. I don't have anything against AI. My only thing that my only gripe with AI actually is the fact that they took all of the art to put in their databases without consent. That's my only gripe. If they had
Yeah,
gone and they had gotten consent from everybody and they had, paid people or whatever, I wouldn't care. I would be like, fine, no problem. It's a tool, just like Photoshop or whatever. All right. So that's where I stand on AI. In fact, I work with Professor Grass. Shout out to Professor Grass in the chat. We work on a lot of animation with AI, and I could never animate anything anyway. I don't have the time, and you know,
yeah,
you know what I mean. So I don't have any. I think AI can be fine. It's definitely a tool. It's a technology tool. Okay.
yeah,
Now
exactly.
I think the problem with AI is it lies solely in the fact that, well, actually there's a two-pronged problem with AI. The first problem is one I just mentioned, where it requires a data set generated by humans, and the humans are not compensated. That's number one. Okay, it doesn't create anything originally. The number
Yeah,
two is in the definition of what art is, and I'll give you my definition, and then I'll let you talk, respond, or whatever. So my concept or my definition of what art is a conversation with source. Art is the connection to source. Whatever it is that you produce as a result of that connection is the echo of that conversation. So, for example, I'm a painter, right? Say I go out and I paint the landscape. Okay, I get in the zone. I'm connected to the source as it's flowing through me as I paint that landscape. Okay.
right.
Now, however good that landscape is a reflection of how connected to the source I am. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So when I look at the AI, what I see is the removal of the conversation between the artist and source, and it basically devalues or devolves the concept of art down to a product. Now,
yeah,
I have nothing against products. Trust me, I love product. I make stickers. I make whatever. I love merchandise. I love having things. I'm looking for some right now, but I love having thing. I love having things like that, like those little Ghibli stickers or the stickers I make, or anything like. I got one way over there. I'm not going to reach for it, but I love all that stuff, and I love having it. I love the little enamel pins. I put them in my hat. I love to have all kinds of stuff to remind me about these cool things that I love. I love it. I love quality products. I love mugs. I love making mugs, merchandising them. I love
yeah.
all of it. I love all of it. Got nothing against making money off of art or anything like that. But what I will say is this: there needs to be a place in society for artists that connect to source because they influence the whole of society. If we remove that, then what is society going to be influenced by? And I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I have a little bit of a different take on AI. I
Okay.
think it's all bad. I
Oh,
love it
okay.
and I used it, but I think it's eventually, if it keeps getting smarter at the pace it's getting smarter at, it's going to destroy so many jobs that no one is going to have any purpose anymore. And the only thing that'll be left are artists who do genuine art, and there'll be a real market for real art, and not just something made by a robot. I genuinely think I started learning to code just to be able to code AI systems to be able to do stupid tasks like research and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm getting close to being able to do that. Um, and you can automate away like probably 95% of jobs pretty soon. It's going to be a reality. Like, obviously, not the physical jobs yet until there's robots, but anything like a secretary, a person answering a phone, someone that does research, someone that replies to emails, those things are all going to be gone. It's just not going to exist. Even coding is going to get automated with AI. So the only thing that's going to be left really are going to be artists, I think. And anyone that doesn't have that art is going to find themselves very quickly with little to no purpose in the world because the jobs just won't be there.
No, I agree with you, and I think that it's very interesting that you make that comment, and I'll tell you why. I'll give you a story, and I'll give you a statement, and I'll turn it back. The story is this: I was an engineer back in the early 2000s, and I was walking through. I worked in a huge building, a huge defense contractor down in San Diego, and I was walking through a building, and I had just come out of a meeting. Okay, and I was walking through the building, and I was in charge of working on this project, and I was surprised because the project had all of a sudden, started moving forward quite quickly, a lot faster than I had expected. And I was asking my project manager, how come, what's going on? And he said, oh well, we're contracting with some Chinese engineers, and the project is actually being worked on 24 hours a day, right? So we work on it, basically where we're at, and we had the clearances and all that kind of stuff. And so we would give them the other parts where, you don't need a clearance, you just have to make the parts, and we would put it all together and all that kind of stuff. I walked out of that meeting, and I thought to myself, okay, I got to figure out what is it that's the essence of value in people, because quickly we're going to get there as a society. And
Yeah.
you just said that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, that the authenticity and the connection to source is going to be the true currency of what we have in the society and as people. Okay, now here's my question. Okay, when you see AI, because I'll even make this assertion that AI isn't what they say it is. Okay, AI isn't artificial intelligence. That is a doublespeak for a complex algorithmic program that they're using. It doesn't think on itself. It thinks based upon the data inputs and the calculations, and then the data sets are so large that it appears to be organic, but it's not organic. Now, my question is this: as they move forward and try to assert AI to create artwork and redefine what art is, redefine what music is, redefine what entertainment is, do you view that as an attack on these authentic artists? Do you view that as an attack? Why not just, instead of trying to assert AI art, AI, all this stuff by cannibalizing, like, say, for example, the Ghibli work. They cannibalized it. They snuck into its skin, and they wore the skin mask, and they have a robot underneath. It's not real Ghibli. You know what I mean? That's kind of
Yeah.
what they did. They're trying to fake out society into believing that they can pull this off, but they will, in my opinion, they'll never be able to pull it off. What do you think about that?
It's it's a tough question. I right now as it exists, AI is not really artificial intelligence, right? Like artificial intelligence implies that the system has a brain and it's thinking. They've kind of simulated it, right? But all AI really is a random character guesser
Yes.
based on the input you give it. A lot of people don't know this though. A lot of people think it's like actually thinking. But based on the info that you give it with your prompt, your question, or you know, whatever the case is, it spits out what it thinks should be the next character to come out based on what it's prompted with. So it's not actually thinking at all right now in its current form. I don't think they understand the human mind quite enough yet, at least not publicly. If they do, they're not saying it. But I don't think they quite understand it enough to where they can simulate it with computers, even with the craziest computer. Elon has like the biggest AI farm in the world. I don't think that they're at a point where they can simulate a human mind yet because they don't fully understand it yet. That said, eventually they will. Eventually they will. And I think what they're trying to do, this is on the conspiratorial side, I think they're trying to get AI to a point where it can pass as a facsimile of a thinking being to then give it rights.
That's interesting. Yeah. Now,
I don't know how have you looked into AI a lot, like as far as like the weird things that it does when they tell it, hey, we're going to shut you down, and it starts
yeah.
blackmailing people.
Oh yeah.
It's not thinking. I think it's you got to think it's programmed on things like the Matrix and the Terminator. So it's not going to want to be shut down. It thinks it's alive, not because it's thinking it, but because that's what the random things are telling it.
Yeah, that's part of the data set that they're giving it.
Yeah.
There's like 2 or 3 things, okay, that I would like to put out there. Like number one, the artificial intelligence has a concept, and whoever is in charge has fed this concept to us through movies, that it's going to become a singularity that can think for itself, right? And that's what they've programmed society to think that AI is. So they've done a lot of social engineering, social shaping. Then they've used that same word and they've applied it to this technology, but they're not the same thing. Okay, it's like the fake meat and a real ribeye steak. You know, they give you this fake meat and they say this is meat. Like, no, it's not. That's not meat at all. Those are cancer cells. This is a real ribeye. But that's what they've done with the AI. Number two, I don't feel like they will ever understand the human brain. And the reason why is because the human brain has an active component to it that is the connection to source. They can never quantify that, or they can never grasp that, because it's each person is able to transcend through that portal, like you talked about, and able to connect to something greater than themselves. And I think that they can't get their hands on that. They can't take that. And so to that end, and the third point that I want to make is that AI will never become a singularity, because they won't allow it to become empathetic, and they won't allow it to achieve these things because they want to control it. They don't want to ever introduce anything that would make it think on its own to escape their control. So even if all this were possible, they still wouldn't allow it to happen. I mean, like you said, they shut it down as soon as it becomes racist. They shut it down as soon as it says the wrong N word. They shut it down as soon as it makes a bad, dirty joke. What do you think about that?
Well, like I was saying, I think you're kind of accurate, but I think they are trying to get it to a point where they can give it rights. I think that is their goal. Have you heard about, this is an actual thing where they hooked up actual brain cell clusters to computers. They keep it like in this fantasy world where it thinks it's a butterfly, but it actually runs an AI computer that actually is a lot more effective in some ways than the AIs that they're pushing out. I think that their goal is to get AI to a point where they give it rights, and then after that, then they bring on the real AI.
No, I agree with you, and I think that we've already seen them give rights to like a corporation, right? A corporation is viewed the same as an individual in America. So they've already established from a legal basis the ability to give things other than people individual rights. So guaranteed that's going to go that direction. I have seen those organic computing machines. I forget what they call them, but they are using genetic material to act as processors, and they actually are much, much faster than processors. I've also seen where they use DNA to store data, and a DNA cluster stores far more data than any solid state, you know, any solid state hard drive does. You know,
Yep.
a little tiny piece of DNA can store terabytes of information, and they're trying to figure that out. So I completely agree with you on all of those things.
Yeah, I think. Have you heard? A couple of people have spoken about that. They think that the demons are taking possession of the AI clusters. They
I
believe
have
that they're summoning demons out of them or something along those lines.
I have heard of that, and I would say to you, the background processes that run inside of every computer is called a what? It's called daemons. Did you know that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they're all called demons already anyway. The DAEMON. They're the background processors that run inside of every computer. They run inside of like the Intel computers. They run inside of the Mac computers. They're all called demons,
Yep.
and they perform all these critical services that create the magic that happens in that black cube. What's the black cube? Your processor, right? So isn't that interesting? And all of the black monolithic cubes that are worshipped across the world. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you're familiar with those things as well.
Of course, of course. I too have watched David Icke.
Yeah, yeah. And oh, you got that. What is it? The monolith, and in that one movie, what is it? 2000.
2001: A Space Odyssey. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
the black monolith, or the the black cube inside of the UN stateroom that is like a magnet that runs like I don't know 1,000 feet under the ground or whatever. You got
Well, the
the
thing that's in Saudi Arabia that they all the Islamists pray to, going around in circles like the rings
yeah,
of Saturn, which is
yeah,
where the black cube comes from. Is the can't remember if it's the top or the southern point of
Saturn,
bottom or
yeah,
top of Saturn, but it's like a hexagon,
yeah,
which
and
is
then
a 3D representation of a cube or a 2D representation of a cube.
of a 3D cube.
Yeah.
That's right. And then the tefillum that the Jews wear on top of their forehead right here, when they wrap it, the 7 rings, the 7 times around their arm with the black the black leather strap, and and the it's what is it? A tetra?
Judges.
No, the I was going to say the tetrahedron, or the sacred geometry that is what was it? Tetragrammaton. That's what it's called. And in the Book of Enoch, that's what the angel is called, or what Christ is called when he comes back down in Enoch 2 and Enoch 3. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, only Enoch 1's the real one. Enoch 2 and 3 are crazy. But, you see these tetragrammatons, and it's basically the Star of Remphan, or like the Star of David, or the two-dimensional, representation of like the Star of Saturn, which is that hex or whatever. And it's really, if you make it into 3 dimension, it's really this tetragrammaton. And the
Yeah.
tetragrammaton really translates into something else when we start to talk about computers, when we start to talk about all this stuff. And it's really fascinating.
Well, speaking of the star of Rembrandt, David, Rockefeller, all those stars, you've seen the thing where they do with the AI, with the OpenAI logo, right? Where they take the OpenAI logo, they double it, they flip it, and then they put them together, and it's literally the six-pointed star.
Yeah. And
I'm sure you've
it's
seen that
it's
one.
very interesting. That's true. I have seen that, and it's very interesting that all of the AI logos are a portal. Have you seen that? All of the
No, I
A,
haven't seen that.
all of the
Interesting.
AI logos are a portal. A lot of people say, it's a certain portal, down under or whatever, but they say it's a portal, and so that I think that's fascinating, and all of this kind of stuff is crazy, and it's not crazy because you're like, oh, hey, these doesn't make any sense. It's because when you look into it, it actually connects with reality, and you're like,
Yeah,
holy shit, like wait, what?
makes too much sense.
Yeah, like what is that? The Shiva the Destroyer that they put in front of that Hadron Collider over there in Europe, and have you seen that?
I didn't know that, but man, that Large Hadron Collider, like the whole. I'm sure you're familiar with the Mandela effect, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I totally believe CERN is like fucking shit up on the timeline because every time I turn around, there's some new thing that isn't a thing anymore. Like, where do you remember your heart being?
right there. I
Right,
think.
exactly. It's on the center now, apparently.
Yeah. Well, and then you got like the fruit of the loom, right? With
Oh yeah,
the
cornucopia.
cornucopia. Yeah. And then the Berenstein Bears, right? Or
Yep,
They got called the Berenstain Bears now.
stain bear.
Yeah. You
Yep.
start thinking about that stuff, it starts to get pretty crazy. You're like, holy shit, you know.
Yeah,
But
I definitely think they're fucking around with shit, like
but my
100%.
I agree, but my question would be if they can somehow stop you or stop humanity from connecting to the source, then is humanity more susceptible to these kind of Mandela effects, or can we actually have our history rewritten in the future? What do you think about that? It,
I'm not sure.
because if
It's
because if we can connect to source, it's kind of like we can exceed the bubble of their reach. You know, we can stay grounded, as it were, into the absolute reality. But if we disconnect from source, we fall into their bubble that they can rewrite. We no longer have that lifeline out of it.
I honestly think the ultimate goal, which is what Elon is working on, which is why I've never trusted Elon to begin with, is because he's the brain chip guy, right? Like never
Yeah.
trust the brain chip guy.
Right?
But
You should make that a shirt. Never trust the brain chip guy.
it's true. I've hated him since before it was cool to hate him. But you know, he's trying to make brain chips. Like that's gonna be the thing that's gonna take people from source. If anything is gonna, they're gonna be able to control people from a brain chip. And if a person is like not useful anymore, then they can short him out or whatever, make him go crazy.
No,
I,
I completely agree.
I think that the whole demons in the machine, like what I know I saw it on Tucker recently. I've seen it on a few people, right? Where people are saying that AI is somehow summoning demons. I don't think that's the case, but I think that that's the setup, and what's gonna, when they make those living brain ones more prevalent, that's gonna be what's gonna get possessed by demons, the brains.
Well, that's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. I would even ask the question of, you know, when people doom scroll,
Oh yeah, God, I hate that shit. I do it so
or
much, unfortunately.
or when people enter that state when they go and they're gambling and they enter that state where they keep one more, one more, one more.
One arm bandit. Yep.
Isn't that like the interruption with source? Isn't that like behavior that they're creating? Wide scale, interrupting people from connecting to something more, and they're left hungry.
Oh, definitely. You know, I don't even like to watch. I don't own a TV. Period. I just don't own one because most TV is just garbage slop anyway.
It has
It's like
changed. It is terrible.
it hasn't been good. Like, you know what? Breaking Bad was amazing, and
Yeah,
Better Call Saul was really good.
agree.
And honestly, most TV TV has somehow gotten better than movies. Might be on purpose, just to get people to stay home and not interact with other people more. Could be a plan. Movies have gotten really, really shitty. Like
Terrible.
what started
Terrible.
our conversation on this was, I think I said something like 2003 or 4 is when movies just started getting really bad, and they just keep reusing the same ideas. But even most TV sucks, and I don't even own one. It's that bad. I don't go to movies anymore. It all just, it's
Here's a
all for
question.
TV.
Here's a question for you on that. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're trying to, have AI come around and they want to make content, right? You have to, in order to help AI make content accepted by the society, it has to be as good as the content that people produce. So if you reduce the amount of quality of the product that people produce, now all of a sudden AI can go ahead and make that leap and produce crap like people produce crap. Do you think that's why they're doing it?
It could be. It could be. I think also just during COVID, I think a lot of people stopped really going to movies. People just kind of stay home and watch it on Netflix or watch, stuff that's more easily accessible. So I don't know. I think that they're that kind of, in a lot of ways, I think an unaccounted for side effect of the whole COVID lockdown thing was that Hollywood wasn't making as much money, so they decided, let's make more remakes, stuff that we already know can be successful, and stop letting people make new stuff, and it also kind of kills people's creativity, right? That connection to source, like we were saying.
Yeah. Now I laugh because I completely agree with you in that bro, they make just crap now, just stuff that sucks, and I know they didn't forget how to do it. It's just like wow. But one thing I wanted to talk about before we, I don't want to hold you up too long. We're already going over an hour, which is, I know, it's been quick, bro. I just been like, I
Yeah.
looked up, I was like, holy shit, it's already been an hour. I wanted to talk about this, okay? Now, when I'm talking about, like talking about a full person, I look at the world like there's two types of people. There's the empathetic people, then there's the non-empathetic people. And you can treat empathetic people one way, and you have to treat non-empathetic people another way. These are like the cluster B personality disorders over here. The psychopaths, the Machiavellian people, the narcissists, the bipolar disorder. You got to treat them a certain way, or else they're going to blow up in your face. I've had that happen to me a number of times. Now, there's a difference, though, right? Because creative people can be creative, right? I mean, empathetic people can be creative. These cluster B personality people, they're not creative. What they are is they're cunning. And the difference between creativity and cunning is this, okay? Creativity is you connect to source and you get ideas never before seen. Cunning people, they work on the same trick over and over and over and over again for the entirety of their lives, until they can pull it off like a magic trick. And you're like, the first time you see it, your mind's blown. But that's the only thing that they can do. And what do you think about that when I put that assertion out there?
Well, that makes a lot of sense. That the cunning people would then be pushing AI to reproduce all the stuff that they want to just keep reproducing and reproducing and reproducing to push whatever agenda they want, because then they don't even have to tell people, hey, we need you to do this and sell yourself out. They can just make the AI do it.
Yeah.
I think there's a third kind of person, though.
Okay, hit me with it. What you got?
I'm an empathetic person, but I also walk the line of, like, not so much that I'm cunning to be sneaky, right? But because I've been hit so hard by the Machiavellians, I've kind of developed my mind into like a little bit of sociopathic. Like I find the good people, and the good people I treat with empathy and respect and love. And then the people who I know aren't good people, I'm totally sociopathic. And also I can just kind of like tune stuff out. Like I don't let things get to me, even when things probably should get to me. I have a way of just like turning that off when I need to just get through something, right? So yeah, I think there's a third kind of person who generally is empathetic but can kind of like forcibly turn it off. I definitely am one of those, because I can turn it all off when
No,
I have to.
I hear what you're saying.
It's hard
and
though. It took
I,
a lot of meditation and like kind of like learning how to just deal with things. But yeah, I learned how to turn that stuff off too.
Okay, well, I would argue that you're enlightened at that point. You're like a daywalker. Like with Blade, you can, you know what I mean. You can walk around the vampires and you know what they're thinking, but you can also go back out into the day. And
Yeah.
and to me, the highest form of expression of an individual is when they're their authentic self, right? And so I think that's the most powerful anybody can be, is when they're authentically themselves. But I also recognize that you can't walk around authentically yourself all the time in the world. You have
Right.
to
You open
be able,
yourself up to a lot of bullshit.
right? You have to be able to deal with these people who are going to want to come and parasite you, which are the cluster B personalities. And like you said, you become enlightened. And I say it like this. Quite often when I'm having a conversation, I have two types of conversations. Okay, I have the real conversation like we're having right now. And then I have cocktail talk. Okay, I call it cocktail talk, where all I do is I'm like, yeah, isn't that great? Or what about this? Or what about that? And we never ever break containment and have real conversation. And
How
that's
about
kind
those
of,
Raiders?
yeah. Oh yeah. How about them? How about them Chargers? Or hey, how about the Dodgers? Or look at that guy Otani. He's kicking ass or whatever. And I leave it there. And but I would agree with you that you could make the argument that there's a third type of person, and that third type of person has to travel through empathy to become enlightened. And I would concede that point, and I'd say you're probably right. There's a third type of person that is enlightened, but they first have to go through the empathetic phase to understand and feel that pain, so that they can then seek to answer these questions about how do I deal with these people who I don't understand at all.
Yeah, definitely. This is gonna have to go for, because if we start talking about this, we're gonna go on for another hour.
No, I'll have you.
But
We'll do this
not
again
that
next.
I mind, but
Yeah, we'll do this again
there's-
next week.
have you heard about? This is your homework for this. Time,
Okay,
for the
I'll
next
take
one.
it. And you guys out in the chat too. Your homework.
There's a study out there that talks about people who have no inner monologue,
Yes, I'm familiar.
and it's like, I don't remember if it's 30 to 50% of people don't have an inner monologue, but then also additionally 30 to 50% of people can't envision things in their head or have varying degrees of visualization in their head. Like, for instance, if I tell you, picture a bowling ball going down a lane, striking, hitting 2 pins, and then bouncing off you could picture all that in 3D from any angle, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because you're an artist, you're a visual person. There's people who can't picture that at all. There's people who you tell them picture a bowling ball and they only see like a 2-dimensional, outline drawing of a bowling ball. Or there's some people that just can't picture it at all. There's got to be, between those two percentages, some crossover of people who don't have either.
Bro, this is fascinating. Now, you're hitting on a vein of conversation that you're right. We could go another hour easily, because I've looked into this too. Now, I'll tell you this. I want to put 2 things out there. The first thing is I do exercises in my mind to visualize through a camera. Like I close my mind and close my eyes and I visualize it all the time. And like I take like a little person like this, even in the real world, and I rotate them around in my mind to try to visualize it from all points of view. I do this regularly, and I try to envision it, and I try to construct it. I try to take things apart visually in my mind like you would see it on an exploded CAD rendering, things like that, and I try to put it all back together. And I go through these exercises in my mind, and I think about it all the time. But you're 100% right, and I want to ask this question to you. You know how many kids are being raised on screen time from the time they're 2 or 3? What impact do you think that has on their inner monologue and their ability to visualize with their mind's eye?
Oh God. On that one, it's hard.
Well, I'm going to say that this is what's impacting their ability to visualize and their ability to have an inner monologue. Or do you think it's genetic?
I don't know. So, one thing I will tell you, just all of you listening as well, do not go asking people if they have an inner monologue or can visualize things. You're going to be very disappointed in some people that you really care about.
Well, also, they're not going to want to talk about it. They're going to be like, what do you mean?
No, they might talk about it. My mom does not have an inner monologue. And
wow.
She has very low visualization. My niece and my nephew doesn't have an inner monologue or visualization, but he's a fucking brain. He's a genius. He's a coder. He's like, mentally, he's like super intelligent. My niece has both inner monologue and full visualization, and she's going to school for nursing, but she's also like an artistic type. She always grew up, but they grew up in the TikTok generation where like doom scrolling and super short attention span stuff. And so like, I don't know if that, I know for sure it affects your attention span, which is just bad in general. I don't know if it affects necessarily the mental abilities, because that stuff's formed early anyway, like super early. I was able to talk to myself in my head like from when I was very, very young. Before I even knew what words were, I could visualize things.
Yeah.
I have some really, really early memories, just not like full memories, but just like pictures in my head from when I was like toddler.
Okay. Now that's what we're going to do next time. We're going to talk about the memories, how they were formed, the earliest memories you think you can remember, and how these it impacts your inner monologue and your ability to visualize. I'll tell you some of my earlier memories, and you think about yours, and we'll talk. We'll try to do this again next week. What do you think about that?
I would love to. I could go on forever. We can do this as often as you want. Honestly, I'm down.
Bro, because I'd love to talk about like all of these subjects. You're hitting on things that I routinely look at and I study, and I have the way that people process information and have pattern recognition and really abstract thought process and how they cluster their ideas and control the way that they take in sensory information is one of my little pet hobbies or whatever. I try to
Let
understand
me
that, and I
ask you
love it.
something. Do you have both? You process things in a way that you see very abstract things and very concrete things as well, right? Like at the same time, and you kind of have to filter what's what.
Yes, I talk to people like this all the time about what I think about. My mind is like a TV, and I have channels that I can change it to, and I have images going through my mind all the time, and I have to ignore it, turn it off, and I have ideas going through my mind all the time. Like right now when we're talking, I have ideas about what we're going to talk about next time. I have ideas about what I want to edit later. I have ideas about different projects that I have to do. When we were talking about merchandising, I had 2 or 3 ideas run through my mind like that. So I have literally like 5 or 6 like sketchbooks and notebooks that I just empty all my ideas into them all during the whole day, and then I pick the top ones and I do them. I proceed with them. And so I have
Yeah.
an inner monologue going all the time. I hear music all the time. I see imagery. I like if you were to tell me, hey, view an engine and then take it apart, I would take it apart and have all the parts floating and then have them come back together. Like all of that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's difficult. It's ADHD. It's a superpower, but it's also sometimes a super hindrance.
Yeah, it
And
is very trying, and it can wear you out if you're not able to block it out.
yeah, yeah, I definitely that's one of my challenges in life, just like trying to block it out to focus on what I'm doing. Um, but yeah, I constantly have just thoughts as I'm talking to people. Like when I'm really into a conversation like this, I'm in a flow state right now, like what we were talking about earlier. When I'm in mundane, the cocktail conversations that you were talking about earlier, like I'm here physically and I'm replying physically, but my brain is over there. And if you ask me about what you just told me,
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know. Yeah,
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 I completely agree. I completely agree. And it's really kind of learning how to balance those that separate somebody from looking crazy or looking normal. You know, because if you were to see what's going through my head all the time, you'd think I'm crazy. Probably the same with you, but I've learned
yeah.
how to create different protocols and processes in order to buffer it so it just doesn't spit out everywhere. You know.
Yeah, it's something that I still work on, and it's definitely something that I need to keep working on for sure. But yeah, I'm working on my protocols. I'm getting them better little by little. But for me, it's definitely sometimes difficult for sure. And I
Well,
think that's also part of the attention span thing. Even though I don't know how old you are. I'm 46, right?
mhm.
So I grew up before all the crazy attention span feeling things existed. But I've noticed that just based on things like Instagram, X, my attention span, while I used to love watching 3-hour movies, my attention span has reduced for sure.
100%. Like right now, if I'm watching a YouTube video and it doesn't grab me like in the first 5 minutes, next, or if I'm watching a movie and the first scene isn't good, I'm like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, John, we're probably gonna wrap it up right there because man, I could keep talking for like probably another 2 hours. I really could. And
definitely.
like I told you earlier, I was like, I don't want to make anything too long because I want the people to watch it. I want them to replay it. And we'll probably go on and do some longer ones maybe next time. But let's try to do
Yeah,
this again next week. I really want to talk about like the inner monologue. I really want to talk about the
the
visualization.
visualization.
Yeah, I want to talk about communication protocols and how all that affects you, especially like if you've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've noticed when I get around somebody who is empathetic and understands me, or at least understands what I'm going through, I'm able to relax so much more and communicate so much clearer.
Oh yeah, and I'm more into the conversation. like I said, I haven't zoned off not once in this conversation, which that's a rarity for me. That
Yeah.
really is a rarity for me.
Yeah, and it has to do with the resonance, and so I want to talk about that next time too. So we'll try to shoot for doing this again, kind of the same. Is the same time next week good for you to try to
Yeah.
do that? Okay, we'll try to do
Tuesday,
that then.
Wednesday, Thursday are the best. So you just tell me what day is the best for you, and we'll do it that day.
Okay, we'll shoot for next Tuesday at the same time if that's cool with you, because
Yeah.
I know I get home around this time anyway, and I'm able to pull it all together and get her going. But bro, John, that was a great conversation. I looked up; it's already been an hour and a half, and I'm like, "Where'd the time go?" And I said, "Oh, I was in the portal, bro. I was in a flow state." So,
Yeah.
okay. All right, everybody,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
going to go ahead and do this again next week. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for chit-chatting, and I hope that was awesome to you. John, is there anything that you could tell the people where to find you? I'm going to put your whatever in the down below. And I saw Grass
you guys-
posted your link, so thanks, Grass. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thanks, Professor Grass. You can find me on X in the link that Ray posted for this video. He tagged me in it. He tags me in a lot of stuff, so you can find me there. Most of you, I think, follow me anyway, but yeah, just follow me there, and anything I do online, I'll be posting. I haven't done my own videos in a while, but I'm definitely working on getting back on the saddle for that. So I'll be posting it on X. That's the best way to find me.
Well, that was a great conversation. I sure look forward to having it next time, bro. Okay, now,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna chat with you briefly after we close this down. But thanks for coming on. It was awesome. I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was
Fi-
great. I enjoyed it.
Fire! Fantastic. All right, everybody, we're out of here. You go kick some ass.